Today, we talk about one of the hardest things a person can do, not climbing a mountain or crossing a sea, just continuing, just choosing one more time not to stop. This is English Sleep Podcast. I'm Brittany, and I'll be with you today. Have you ever started something, a plan, a small dream, a quiet change, and then one difficult day felt like it was all pointless? Today, we follow James, and maybe in his story, you will find a little piece of your own. The desk is small. It sits in the corner of James's apartment, under a window that looks onto the back wall of the building next door. There is not much of a view, just gray brick, a metal pipe running from the roof to the ground, and sometimes a pigeon that lands on the pipe and stays for a while. Looking down at nothing in particular, James is 30 years old. He has dark hair and a habit of tapping his pen on the desk when he is thinking. The desk has small marks from years of tapping. It is a Saturday evening. The rest of the apartment is quiet. There is a lamp on the desk, a small round lamp that gives warm yellow light. The lamp was a gift from his mother years ago. It has been on this desk in 3 different apartments. It is the oldest thing James owns. He is sitting in front of his laptop. On the screen, a design he has been working on for 2 hours. A poster simple in theory, difficult in practice. He wanted it to look clean, professional. The kind of design that makes people stop and look. It does not look clean. It does not look professional. He leans back in his chair. He puts both hands over his face. He sits like that for a moment, hands over his face, the laptop glowing in the quiet room, the pigeon outside presumably still on the pipe. James has been trying to learn graphic design for 6 months. 6 months of online lessons. 6 months of watching other people make beautiful things on his screen and then trying to make them himself and failing, most of the time. Or not failing, exactly, but making things that look like the work of a person who is still learning, which he is. He is discouraged. Discouraged means you feel like your effort is not working. You feel like the gap between where you are and where you want to be is too wide to cross. You feel tired of trying. James is discouraged tonight. He looks at the poster again. He thinks, 6 months. 6 months? And it still looks like this. Maybe this is not for me. Maybe some people have talent and some people do not. Maybe I am the second kind. He reaches for the laptop to close it. His hand is on the lid. He stops. He does not close it. He's not sure why. Something small holds him. Not a big idea. Not a great speech inside his head. Just a small resistance. A quiet refusal to close the lid tonight. He opens a new folder instead. He finds his very first design, the one he made in week 1, 6 months ago. He opens it. He looks at it for a long moment. It is worse, much worse. In fact, it is so much worse than tonight's poster that for a second James wants to laugh. The colors are wrong. The text is too big. Everything is in the wrong place. It looks like the work of someone who had never opened a design program before. Because it was. He looks at tonight's poster again, then back at the first one. Something shifts inside him. Something small, but real. The 2 designs are not the same. They are not even close to the same. 6 months have passed between them. 6 months of discouragement and failed attempts and Saturday evenings at this desk. And the work has changed. He has changed. He just cannot see it when he only looks at today. He saves tonight's poster. He closes the laptop gently this time, not in frustration. He sits for a moment in the warm yellow light from his mother's lamp. Maybe you know this feeling too. The feeling of being in the middle of something hard, of not being able to see whether any of it is working, of looking at today's effort and seeing only its imperfections. That feeling is real. And it is very human. Here is an image to carry with you. Changing your life is like turning a large ship at sea. The ship is heavy. The water is deep. You cannot turn a large ship in 1 second. It does not work that way. If you try to turn it too fast, you break something. But if you turn the wheel just a little, just one small, honest, quiet movement, the ship begins to change direction. So slowly you cannot feel it. So slowly the sea looks the same, but the ship is moving differently now. And one day, you look behind you and you realize you are nowhere near where you started. James does not see the ship turning, but it is turning. He gets up and goes to make tea, not because the design problem is solved, just because the evening is not over yet. And tea is a reasonable thing to make on a Saturday. He is not the only person sitting with this feeling right now. Somewhere across the city, in a small corner of a living room surrounded by fabric and thread, his friend Nadia has lived this same feeling and found her way through it in a way she never expected. That is James, alone at his desk on a Saturday. But giving up does not always feel like frustration. Sometimes it feels much quieter than that, like a door slowly closing in your heart. Nadia knows that version very well. Nadia is 28. She has a small online shop called Pale Thread, where she sells handmade bags, canvas bags, tote bags, small pouches with hand-stitched designs. She works during the day as a receptionist at a dental clinic on the high street. At night and on weekends, she sews. Her workspace is a corner of her living room. There's a small wooden table against the wall with her sewing machine in the center, and around it, rolls of fabric in different colors, a tin of buttons, a glass jar full of thread in so many colors that it looks like a garden. A lamp is clamped to the edge of the table, angled down at the work. It gives strong white light different from James's warm yellow lamp, but also important, also steady. Nadia started Pale Thread 18 months ago. For the first year, she sold almost nothing, 12 bags in 12 months, most of them to her mother and one to a coworker who felt sorry for her. She looked at other shops on the same platform, shops with hundreds of sales, beautiful photographs, thousands of people following them, and she felt something heavy settle in her chest. She felt small. Not worthless, she knew her bags were good, but small. Like a person standing at the base of a very tall building, looking up. One evening, she got a message through her shop. It was from a stranger. The message said, "Your bags look very basic. I have seen better at the market for much less money." Nadia read the message 3 times. Each time, something in her chest tightened a little more. She put down her phone. She sat at her sewing table. She did not pick up any fabric. She just sat there, in the white light from the clamp lamp, looking at the rolls of fabric and the tin of buttons and the glass jar full of colorful thread. She thought, maybe the person is right. Maybe this is just a hobby pretending to be something more. Maybe I should close the shop and stop. For about 20 minutes, she was very close to doing exactly that. And then, without fully deciding to, she picked up a piece of soft gray canvas. Not a bag she was planning to make, not a design she was working on, just a piece of canvas, smooth and cool in her hands, with a slight smell of clean cotton. She began to cut it, just because her hands wanted to, just because the fabric was there and it felt right. She made a small pouch, no plan, no pattern, just following the fabric and her own hands. It took 40 minutes. When she finished, it was not perfect. One corner was slightly uneven, but it was a thing she had made, and it was hers. She held it in her hands, and she realized something. She did not start Pale Thread to prove a stranger wrong. She did not start it to be famous or to make money or to compete with bigger shops. She started it because she loved this, the fabric, the thread, the slow, careful work of making something from nothing. Craft. That word matters here. A craft is a skill that you build slowly, with your hands and your patience. A craft is something you practice, not perform. Nadia's craft was not about results. It was about the making. And no one, not a stranger on the internet, not a slow month, not a year, with 12 sales could take the making away from her. She put the gray pouch on the shelf above the table. She went to bed. The next morning, she listed it in the shop. It sold in 4 days. Not because she needed it to sell, just because the things made from love have a way of being seen. Maybe you know this kind of discouragement too, not the loud, angry kind, but the quiet kind. The kind that comes from comparison, from a stranger's words, from looking sideways at other people's progress and feeling like yours is invisible. That is normal. That is human. The answer is almost always the same. Go back to the making. Go back to the reason you started. This is what Nadia found. James does not know her story, but he is about to learn the same lesson through a completely different door. On a Wednesday morning, in a coffee shop that smells of cinnamon and burnt espresso, Nadia found her answer in the gray canvas and going back to the small, quiet reason she started. James finds his answer differently, not through a stranger's message, but through a friend's honest words that sting a little and then unexpectedly help. It is a Wednesday morning. James is in a coffee shop before work. The place is called The Anchor. It is the kind of coffee shop that has been there for 20 years. Mismatched chairs, a large espresso machine that makes a lot of noise, a small chalkboard near the door with the specials written in uneven handwriting. It smells of coffee and something sweet, maybe cinnamon, maybe old wood. James is sitting with his colleague Priya. They are not close friends anymore, the kind of people who have lunch together sometimes and know each other's coffee orders. Priya has short hair and a direct manner of speaking. She is not unkind. She just says things without softening them much. She's looking at something on his phone. He showed her a design he made last month, a small poster for a community event. The first time someone asked him to make something real. She says, "It's getting better. I remember the first one you showed me. That one was a bit rough." James feels a small sting. Not a big one. Just a quick, sharp feeling like touching something that is slightly too hot. He says, "Yeah?" Priya hands the phone back. She picks up her coffee cup. She says, "Honestly, for 6 months in, this is good progress." And she moves on to talking about something else entirely, a television show, a new restaurant near their office. The conversation moves forward, but James stays for a moment in those 2 sentences. For 6 months in, this is good progress. He thought about the first design, the terrible one, the one he found in the folder on Saturday. He thought about the poster Priya just called Getting Better. He thought about all the Saturday evenings between those 2 things. All the small, invisible, discouraging hours. Progress. Progress means moving forward. It does not mean arriving. It does not mean being good yet. It just means you are not where you were. You are further along the path. Even if the path is long, even if you cannot see the end. He ordered another coffee. He did not need another coffee, he had already had one. He just was not ready to leave the table yet. He thought about the ship. The image came to him clearly. The large ship turning so slowly you cannot feel the water change. The wheel moving just a little, again and again, over many months. He thought, the ship has been turning. I just could not feel it from inside. He took out a small notebook, the kind he always carried. Blue cover, slightly bent from being in his back pocket, and he wrote one thing. Compare your work to your own past work, not to other people's. He read it back. He closed the notebook. Maybe you have done this too, compared your beginning to someone else's middle. Looked at a person who has been doing something for years and felt bad that your 6 months does not look like their 5 years. That comparison is unfair to you. It is like looking at a sapling and feeling sad that it is not yet a tree. Give it time. Give it water. Compare it to what it was last season. That is the only fair comparison. James finishes his coffee. He puts on his coat. He walks out into the gray Wednesday morning. He does not know it yet, but upstairs in the building where he lives, his neighbor, Mr. Otto, has been learning exactly the same thing not for 6 months, but for 7 years. And what Mr. Otto would tell him, if James ever thought to ask, is something simple and true and a little unexpected. James is learning this lesson 6 months in, but on the 3rd floor of his building. His neighbor, Mr. Otto, has been living it for 7 years, and the lesson, at 67, looks a little different, more patient, more certain, like a path that has already been walked and can now be described clearly. Mr. Otto is 67 years old. He is retired. He worked for 30 years as a structural engineer, a person who calculates how buildings can stand safely under their own weight. He lives in apartment 3C, directly above James. His apartment is warm and slightly cluttered books, maps, a collection of small stones from various rivers around the world that he keeps in a wooden bowl by the window. 7 years ago, at the age of 60, Mr. Otto decided to learn to paint. He had never painted before. He had no artistic background. He had spent his career working with numbers and materials and load calculations. Paint was the opposite of everything he knew. His daughter gave him a small set of watercolors and a pad of watercolor paper for his 60th birthday, not because she thought he would become a painter, just because she wanted him to have something new to do in retirement. He sat at the kitchen table with the watercolors the same afternoon. The kitchen has a large window that faces the courtyard. In the afternoon, the light comes in at an angle and makes the table bright and clear. He put the paper on the table. He opened the watercolor set. He looked at the small squares of color, 12 of them, in a row. He dipped a brush in water. He touched it to a square of blue. He touched the blue to the paper. The blue spread out, pale and thin, in a shape that looked like nothing in particular. He tried again. More blue. More water. The shape was still nothing. He spent 1 hour that afternoon making shapes that looked like accidents. When his daughter called to ask how the paints were, he said, "Very interesting." He did not say, "I made nothing good." He just said, "Very interesting." He painted every day after that. Every afternoon, in the kitchen light, small paintings no bigger than a piece of notebook paper. He did not show them to anyone at first. He just made them and put them in a stack on the shelf above the table. After 1 year, his daughter visited. She looked at the paintings. She said, "Dad, these are very colorful." Mr. Otto smiled. He knew what she meant. He could hear the kind uncertainty in her voice, the way people say positive-sounding words when they are not sure what to say. He said, "Yes, I'm still learning." He kept painting. After 3 years, his daughter visited again. She looked at the new paintings, the ones from the last 6 months stacked on the shelf. She was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "Dad, these are actually beautiful." He smiled again, the same smile, but with something different behind it. Patient. To be patient means to be willing to wait, to not rush, to understand that some things take time and to be okay with that. Mr. Otto was patient, not because he was naturally calm. He was an engineer, and engineers like results, like answers, like things that work. Patience did not come easily to him. He practiced it, the way he practiced the brushwork. One evening, about 2 months ago, he knocked on the door of the apartment below him. James answered, still in his work clothes, looking a little tired. Mr. Otto held out a small painting. It was a painting of the courtyard, the one visible from both their apartments. A quiet square of gray stone and a single tree that had been there for decades, its branches going in every direction. He said, I made too many of these. I thought you might like one for your wall." James took the painting. He looked at it. The tree had been painted with many small strokes, not one line, but many, many small marks. Each one imperfect on its own, but together making something that looked completely true. He said, "Thank you." "Did it take you long?" Mr. Otto said, "7 years." Then he smiled, nodded, and went back upstairs. James stood in the doorway, holding the small painting. He did not fully understand what Mr. Otto meant at that moment, but he hung the painting on the wall above his desk, next to the window that looked onto the gray brick and the metal pipe. And somehow, after that, sitting at the desk felt different. Maybe there is someone like Mr. Otto in your life, someone older, someone who has been doing the same thing quietly for a long time and become good at it without anyone making a great fuss. Someone whose patience is not something they announce, it is just something you can see in what they have made and how they move, in the way they give you a painting of a courtyard tree and say, 7 years. That answer is enough. That is the whole lesson. 3 months pass after the painting goes on the wall. James's desk is the same desk. The small lamp from his mother is the same lamp. The window looks onto the same gray brick and the same metal pipe. The pigeon still comes sometimes, but the wall above the desk is different. Mr. Otto's painting of the courtyard tree is there the many small strokes. The branches going in every direction, each one imperfect and together making something true. It is a Saturday evening again. The light outside is low. The city is going quiet the way it does on Saturday evenings, when the day's hurry is over and people are settling into whatever softness the night will bring. James is at his laptop. He is finishing a design, a proper one, a real commission. A small bakery 3 streets away asked him to design their new menu. Not a large project, but a real one. A client who is paying him something small, just enough to feel that this is becoming real. He works for 2 hours. He does not tap his pen as much as before. His hand moves more steadily now. He knows where things should go. Not always. There are still moments of uncertainty, still moments of looking at the screen and not knowing, but fewer than before. He finishes the menu. He looks at it for a long time. It is not perfect. One of the font sizes is slightly off. He notices it and adjusts it. One color is not quite right. He changes it. He does these things simply, without frustration. The way a person does small corrections when they know what they are looking for. He saves the file. He leans back in his chair. He looks at the painting on the wall, the courtyard tree, the many small marks. He thinks about the ship. He can feel it now, the direction. Not arrived, not finished. Not where he wants to be eventually, but nowhere near where he started. The ship has been turning for 9 months, slowly, surely, one Saturday evening at a time. He thinks about Priya in the anchor saying, "For 6 months in, this is good progress." He thinks about the folder with the first terrible design. He thinks about Mr. Otto at the door, holding the painting, saying, 7 years. He thinks, "I almost stopped. On that first Saturday, with both hands over my face, I almost closed the laptop for good." He is glad he did not. There is a word for this feeling, the feeling of continuing when it was hard to continue, and arriving somewhere that you could not see from where you started. The word is steady. Steady means you did not go fast. You did not always feel confident, but you kept moving. The direction stayed the same, and the ship turned. He is still not a great designer. There are people who have been doing this for 10 years, 20 years, whose work makes his look simple. He does not compare himself to them anymore, or he tries not to. Sometimes he still does, and feels the familiar small sting. But then he opens the folder with the first design. He looks at it. He closes the folder. Outside, the evening is dark and still. A light goes on in the window of the building across the small courtyard, the same courtyard Mr. Otto painted. Someone moves behind the curtain. James closes his laptop. He picks up his pen, and this time, instead of tapping it on the desk, he sets it down beside the lamp. The lamp is warm and yellow. His mother's lamp. The oldest thing he owns. He looks at the light it makes on the desk. He thinks, I am still here. I am still going. And that is enough. The story's quiet now. James is still. You are still too. Your body is warm. Your arms are resting. Your breath is slow and even. Let the English float gently around you like small strokes on a painting, each one imperfect, each one part of something real. You do not need to hold it. Just let it be here. Just let it rest inside you. There is nowhere else to be. This moment is enough. The stories are done now. James is still at his desk. The lamp is still on. Mr. Otto's painting is on the wall. And you are here, in this quiet place, at the end of a day. Let's stay together a little longer, gently, no hurry. Tonight's topic was, don't give up. Don't give up on the thing you started. Don't give up on the small, slow change you are making. And what the story showed us is this. Giving up almost always happens at the wrong moment when you are tired, when you compare yourself to others, when you cannot see how far you have come. The right time to decide is not that moment. The right time is later. After rest. After a little distance. After you open the old folder and see the first version. Here are 5 small habits to carry with you. Small habit. 1. Keep a small record of where you started. Take a photo, write a sentence, save an early version of your work. Not because it is good, because it shows you where you were. In 3 months, in 6 months, you can look at it. You can see the distance. You cannot see growth while it is happening, but you can see it looking back. You can do this for anything. A skill, a habit, a language. Save the first attempt. It is evidence that you began, and beginning is the first act of not giving up. For example, today, take 1 photo or write 1 sentence about where you are right now in something you are learning or building. Put it somewhere you can find it in 6 months. Small habit 2. Compare yourself only to your past self, not to people who started before you, not to people who seem further along, just to who you were a month ago, a season ago, a year ago. The fair question is not, am I as good as the best person I can see? The fair question is, am I better than I was? Almost always, the answer is yes. Almost always, you have grown in ways you stopped noticing. You can practice this by asking, at the end of each week, in what one small way am I better or further along than I was last month? For example, this week, look at one thing you do regularly, English listening, a hobby, your work, and ask yourself honestly, what can I do now that I could not do 3 months ago? Small habit. 3. When you want to quit, wait 1 day. Not forever, just 1 day. Most decisions to quit are made at the worst moment when you are tired, when something has just gone wrong, when the gap between where you are and where you want to be feels too wide. That moment is not the right moment to decide. Sleep on it. Do something small and unrelated. Eat something good. Rest. Then, the next day, ask, do I still want to stop? Sometimes the answer is still yes. That is okay too. But often the answer is different when you are not inside the hard moment. For example, the next time you feel like giving up on something, write it down and put it away. Look at it again tomorrow. Just tomorrow, not in a week. Tomorrow. Small habit. 4. Do the small version when the big version feels impossible. James could not make a beautiful design that night, but he could open an old folder and look. Nadia could not fix her shop or sell more bags, but she could pick up a piece of gray canvas and make one small thing. The small version is always available. When the big goal feels too far, the small version keeps you connected to the work. It keeps the ship moving even very slowly. Even just enough. You can always do the small version. Read one page instead of one chapter. Walk for 5 minutes instead of 30. Write one sentence of English instead of a full paragraph. For example, today, if something feels too big or too hard, find the smallest possible version of it. Do just that. The small version is real. The small version counts. Small habit 5. Practice English a little every day, even on the hard days. Especially on the hard days. This is the habit that connects everything. Every language learner knows the feeling of wanting to stop when progress feels invisible, when other people seem to learn faster, when a hard day makes it all seem pointless. But English grows like a painting. Many small strokes. No single stroke is the whole painting. But together, over time, they make something true. You can listen to English for 5 minutes. You can read one short paragraph. You can speak one sentence out loud to yourself. You can listen to one more episode of this podcast and let the sound settle into your memory while you rest. You are doing this right now. That is the habit. That is the small stroke on the canvas. That is the wheel turning. For example, every night this week before you sleep, listen to 5 minutes of slow English, not to study, just to let the sounds come in. Your brain absorbs more than you know. Let's go through them one more time, slowly. Small habit. 1. Keep a small record of where you started. Small habit 2. Compare yourself only to your past self. Small habit 3. When you want to quit, wait 1 day. Small habit 4. Do the small version when the big version feels impossible. Small habit 5. Practice English a little every day, even on the hard days. You do not need all 5 tonight. Even one small step is enough. Now, let's gently review some words from tonight's stories. You can just listen. If you are awake, you can repeat softly. If you are already half asleep, that is perfect too. Just let the words come to you. Discouraged. Discouraged. Discouraged means you feel like your effort is not working. You feel tired of trying. You want to stop because things are hard and progress is slow. He felt discouraged when his design still looked wrong after 2 hours. You can feel discouraged sometimes and still choose to continue. If you are still awake, you can say it once. Discouraged. Persist, persist. To persist means to keep going, even when it is difficult. You do not stop. You continue slowly, quietly, again and again. She persisted with her small shop for 18 months before things changed. You can persist with your English learning, one small step at a time. If you are still awake, you can say it once. Persist. Progress. Progress. Progress means you are moving forward. You are getting better, slowly. Not perfect, just better than before. His colleague said his design showed good progress for 6 months of learning. We all make progress when we keep going, even when we cannot feel it happening. If you are still awake, you can say it once. Progress. Patient. Patient. Patient means you are willing to wait. You do not rush. You understand that some things take time, and you accept that. Mr. Otto was patient with his painting for 7 years. You can be patient with yourself as you learn something new. If you are still awake, you can say it once. Patient. Effort. Effort. Effort is the energy and work you put into something. When you try hard, you make an effort. Effort is not the result, it is the trying. Every Saturday evening at his desk was part of James's effort to improve. Small efforts made again and again become something large. If you are still awake, you can say it once. Effort. Compare. Compare. To compare means to look at 2 things and notice how they are different. You can compare your work today with your work from 3 months ago. He learned to compare his new designs to his old ones, not to other people's work. You can compare your English today with your English from last year and see how far you've come. If you are still awake, you can say it once. Compare, craft, craft. A craft is a skill that you build slowly, with practice and patience. It takes time. You build it with your hands, your mind, and your repeated effort. Sewing was Nadia's craft, something she built with patience and love. Learning English is also a craft. You build it slowly, day by day. If you are still awake, you can say it once. Craft, steady, steady. Steady means calm and reliable. Not fast, not dramatic, but always moving. Something steady does not stop. It continues, gently, in the same direction. He kept a steady practice one Saturday evening at a time. You can be steady in your learning. Slow and steady is enough. If you are still awake, you can say it once. Steady. Improve. Improve. To improve means to get better at something over time. Not perfect, just better than before. After 9 months, his designs had improved so much he could barely recognize the first one. You improve every time you practice, even when the improvement is too small to see. If you are still awake, you can say it once. Improve. Abandon. Abandon. To abandon something means to leave it behind. To stop completely and walk away. When you do not abandon something, when you stay, that is where growth happens. James almost abandoned his design work on that first Saturday evening. The decision not to abandon something you love is one of the bravest decisions a person can make. If you are still awake, you can say it once. Abandon. Those are tonight's words. Discouraged, persist, progress, patient, effort, compare, craft, steady, improve, abandon. Let them rest inside you. Let them settle slowly into the soft part of your mind that holds things while you sleep. You do not need to remember them all. They are already there. The episode is ending now. Very slowly. Very softly. If you are still awake, thank you for being here. Thank you for giving this time to your English, to your rest, to the gentle work of learning. That is not a small thing. If you are already sleeping, that is also perfect. The words are still moving quietly through your night, doing their slow and useful work. If tonight felt good to you, we would love for you to come back. A quiet subscribe. A soft like these small things help more learners find this place. And we will be here with another story, another voice, another slow and warm night of English whenever you need it. Remember the ship? It is still turning. Even tonight, while you sleep, the wheel is moving. The direction is changing, and one day, not today, not tomorrow, but one real and ordinary day, you will look back and see how far you have come from where you started. Keep the wheel in your hands, even gently, even just for tonight. Good night.